Liverpool get it done, Arsenal keep bottling, and Rue Rambrin says it's the worst Man United squad of all time. And I agree. Welcome out to Hatewatch, where football fans come to watch the world burn. I'm your host, thefatasian. Before we get started, go ahead, drop me a follow on Instagram to impress the host. But with two sets of games that we gotta catch up on, let's just get into it. Of course, with survival of the shittest. But first, a moment of silence for a legend of the game that unfortunately we lost during our mini break. A great man who some saw as an arsonist turned firefighter, who others labeled a magical escape lizard, or even a master of chaos. Yes, sadly, Sean Dyche was sacked 2 weeks ago before Everton announced David Moyes is coming in his replacement, which prompted me to think Spider-Man meme. Like, they do pretty much the same thing. They both just specialize at escaping relegation. So for me, this was pretty much a lateral move, but I guess you can get the new gaffer bump, although in the process, they're making a very dangerous gamble. Because by sacking Sean Dyche, you go ahead and allow the other bottom three teams to hire Sean Dyche. But let's be honest, Southampton's pretty much dead. But Ipswich, and specifically Leicester? But the funniest thing about survival of the shittest now is you have all these teams that are fighting for their lives, and just barely above them is Tottenham. Never changed, Tottenham. But going back to Everton, they used their new manager pump to brilliant to plumb, getting up 3-0 on Tottenham even before the halftime whistle. It was embarrassing. A result that seemed inconceivable before kickoff. Actually, not that inconceivable. It is Spurs. But man, they are spiraling. And it's sad to say, but I think Big Ange's days as coach at Tottenham might be numbered. So let us all just kind of savor and enjoy these final moments from this crazy Aussies brand of suicide ball. Newcastle has been the hottest team in the league for a little bit. 9 consecutive wins in all competitions. Unfortunately, they ran into a fucking buzzsaw this weekend. Yeah, Bournemouth put Newcastle down like a rabid dog before being executed via Justin Kluivert hat-trick, including this banger at the end. Pretty nice. I must say, the story of the season has really been the rise of the low-tier gods. It's been a fantastic job what Bournemouth's been doing. Forest might be the story of the season. You know, they're looking at an outside chance of pulling a Leicester here, and it's been sensational to watch these minnows fighting against the gods of the game, oil money states, and not just being able to go toe-to-toe. They're embarrassing these guys. And was for Forest for just being outrageous this year, then it would be the Cherries that would probably be my story of the year. But enough praise. Let's talk about hate. Let's talk about Arsenal. Midweek, they had the North London derby, a matchup that I would describe as a very movable object versus an equally stoppable force. And it went down as you would expect, just ugly, staccato, frustrating football to watch. The Kimchi God himself goes ahead and finds the opener, but it wouldn't be enough. With Arsenal essentially fielding their B team on offense, they somehow get a goal back through Trossard before finding the winner through, you guessed it, set-piece routine. And that was enough to go ahead and claim all 3 points, and that was crucial because during midweek, Liverpool ended up drawing. Despite all the injuries, Arteta closing the gap, and all that hard work only to drop points over the weekend to Aston Villa because they went up 2-0 early. But Unai and the Villains, they're a good team. They've been a little bit more uneven than they were a season ago, but they're still solid, and they battle back to 2-2. And that took us to the final moments of the game when the much maligned Moreno came through with the winner. And you can't write a script better for the Spaniard. Except this is Arsenal, so you're not allowed to have nice things. Yes, the VAR monster summoned the ref to the video kiosk, and honestly, this was a really tough call. I think most people online, I saw F&G say that this is clearly like a handball, but if I super slow it down and we zoom in, to me anyway, it hits his midsection first, and then maybe kind of spins up and glances off his arm ever so slightly. And I'd like to note, his arm is tucked very neatly into his body. But at this point, I have no fucking clue what constitutes a handball these days. And listen, I can go into this whole rant about how I'm frustrated with the British. Like, honestly, it's instant replay. It's not that hard. But then I have to look at the NFL this past weekend during the playoffs, and they had like 3 blatant missed calls in the Chiefs game, and I'm like, yeah, we're not that much better. So maybe I'm starting to join the camp of like, VAR was a mistake. Bin VAR. But anyway, the narrative gods must be appeased. And another call by the rest. Fuck Arsenal's title hopes. And just like that, Bottle Job FC are never being the allegations. I know this show is called Hate Watch, but at this point, it's hard to hate Arsenal. It's more pity watch at this point. I try to empathize. I can only imagine being an Arsenal fan and being so fucking frustrated. It's like having the most beautiful, sensual, sexy, smart girlfriend in the world, and she doesn't let you smash. She lets you do everything else except smash. But there just keeps on being reasons why you can't smash. Because I watch Arsenal And I can see it. There is a league winning side somewhere in there. And in another timeline, they could have won. They should have won 2 years ago. They could have won last year. And we have documented how fucking snake bitten they've been this year. And they're still right there. For all the doom and gloom that we have put on Arsenal this year, that we have put on Arteta this year, they are still in second place. They're still above Chelsea. They're still above Man City. And that is what is giving this fan base such hard blue balls, is because they're great. They have the talent. They have the tactics. The only thing that they don't possess is that one funky little thing that happens in sports: luck.
But them's the breaks.
But you know who is catching all the breaks this year? Liverpool. Now, ever since we've been in January, Liverpool have kind of looked a little mortal. They drew 1-1 midweek to Forest, and they looked like they were on their way to dropping points again against the Bees on the weekend.
Bees?
Brentford was coming off of fighting Man City back to a 2-2 draw midweek and looked wily as ever, setting up to frustrate the league leaders. And credit to the Bees.
Bees?
They played well. They certainly deserved the draw. But Liverpool, even on one of their off days, they can pull a bullshit win out of their ass from one of the more unlikely sources in the league: Darwin Núñez, who somehow scored twice in injury time. And when that happened, it started to feel like Liverpool this year is a team of destiny. It's just all the stars are aligning. They are a miracle team. This shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be able to replace a legendary head coach with someone who apparently is even better. Then you basically get the rest of the top six imploding on themselves, while Mo Salah is having a generational season. And even with Liverpool not playing their best football lately, they're still getting results. And these are all hallmarks that we have seen in the past from league-winning sides. But listen, there's still a lot of football to be played, and we are in the January window. Forest and Arsenal aren't completely out of the race. And honestly, if I were to bet on one of them actually pressing Liverpool for these title chances, I would put it on Forest. Maybe they could have that Cinderella story, that Leicester City story, and that could be a fun end of the season thing. Like, their team chemistry is simply sorcery at this point. I can't explain it. Chris Wood turned to Jamie Vardy.
I didn't think it.
They have one of the best defenses in the league. It's spellbinding how a team like Nottingham Forest can get this good this quickly. Oh, and I guess I should mention that Man City and Chelsea got back to their winning ways, but they're kind of far off the pace. So good for them, but moving on. Because now it's the part everyone wants me to talk about. Let's talk about Manchester United. And before we get into our yearly tradition of getting our ass blown out by Brighton, at Old Trafford, by the way, but before we get into that, let's talk about what I felt was the scarier match. And that was midweek versus Southampton, because that was the game that first made me think
That, yeah, Amron might not be it.
I'm being real. That first 45 minutes up against Southampton. Remember, Southampton is historically bad. One of the worst teams I've ever seen grace the Premier League. And they were completely dominating Manchester United. It's not like it was kind of close. It's not like Manchester United were making chances. No, Manchester United were completely out of sorts. I don't know how Amron set them up, but he didn't set them up well. Up against the worst team that I may have ever seen in the Premier League. And while I'm watching it, I'm just like, yo, I can understand Brighton. I can understand Nottingham Forest. They're having a fantastic year. I understand Liverpool, Arsenal, which we actually played well against. But Southampton. You can't beat fucking Southampton in their worst season ever? And I'm like, all right, come on, dog. Maybe you're not him. Southampton were treating us like a bot lobby in Marvel Rivals. They could have been up 4-0 by halftime. And if not for a very late hat trick by Amad Diallo, this would have been the biggest embarrassment of the season, by far. And let me know, it wasn't some tactical change that helped us win the game. It was singularly one player's brilliance, one player's desire to win. And God fucking bless Amad Diallo. He is the only fucking positive thing that is going on in Manchester United right now. He's the only fucking positive thing that is going on in my life right now. So God fucking bless Amad Diallo. Otherwise, I might just stick my head in an oven. But that was midweek, and we had Brighton on the weekend. And I'll be honest, I anticipated a loss here. That wasn't a surprise. Brighton have just had our number over the past 3 seasons. I think the announcer before the game said that beyond Man City, no team has beaten Manchester United more over the last 3 years than Brighton. And come Sunday, it was again the Seagulls waddling in to Old Trafford, putting their feet up on our desk, and fucking having their way with us. And it was the same Manchester United under Amron. They're cut through the midfield. They're too easily countered. You can see them struggling to play out of the back in this new system. And a team like Brighton that is excellently drilled, that have the muscle memory, that know their pressing triggers, they smelled blood in the water, and it is no surprise that they feasted upon a struggling Manchester United squad. Kobe Manu and Manuel Ugarte had essentially been training cones in the midfield. It ended up 3-1, and yeah, the boys showed a little bit of fight near the end of the game. And yeah, if not for maybe the horror mistake by Onana, we could have gotten back to the game, but really, Brighton are a better team than us. We just gotta face facts. 3-1 is exactly the score that we deserve. And that wasn't even the biggest headline. The Onana mistake wasn't even the biggest headline. The biggest headline came after the game. Rune Abraham, in the press conference, said that this is probably the worst Manchester United squad in history. And all I have to say is, bro, I said this a month ago. Yes, I've been ahead of the curve. Because here, let's do a blind taste test. We took the names of the teams, and we saw where Brighton was going over the last 5 years, and we saw where Manchester United was going over the past 5 years. And you see how effectively one team has found an edge in the transfer market that has allowed them to be way smarter with their money. And then you see into the future with all the financial fair play, basically salary caps that are kind of coming to the English Premier League. It's going to become more like the American sports leagues, where it's not always the team that has the most money, although don't get it twisted, it helps. But the teams that are smartest with their money, they can still compete with the establishment. And just because Manchester United are old money doesn't mean they're smart money. And we're being real, I don't think that there's a dumber team in the fucking Premier League than Manchester United with their money. What have we done? We've spent well over £1 billion just to get us a squad that is quantitatively worse than Brighton. We're not even close to Brighton. I think someone pointed out there'd be 5 players in the Brighton team that you would put into the Manchester United team right now. They would start above them. And we've had manager after manager, and none of them can turn it around. So maybe it really is the players. And Ruben is waking up to the harsh reality that this team is fucking buns. And apparently he laid into the dressing room with reports saying that he ended up shattering or destroying one of the TVs in the dressing room during a post-game tirade after the loss up against Brighton. I think everyone feels sorry for him, and it's becoming more and more apparent that he just does not have the horses to run his system. And what's sickening to me as a Manchester United fan is I said the same fucking thing about Erik ten Hag. I'm like, all right, let's just wait until he gets the players to get his system. He bought a bunch of players for $1 bajillion, still didn't work in his system, and now we brought in a manager who's a completely different system. And it looks like, save for Amad Diallo, no one else's team fits the system.
It's gonna just be an ugly, bleak fucking March to the end of the year.
People are trying to get clicks by saying, oh, they might be in a relegation battle. We're not going to be in a relegation battle. We'll be better than that. We'll win enough games to get out of there, but just barely at this point. But if there's one fucking positive, bright note that I could leave you all on as Manchester United fans, that we finally got rid of Anthony, at least till the end of the season. Our long national nightmare is over. We have loaned him out to Betis. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and end this week in Hate Watch. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to cheer me up slightly, go ahead, smush your nipple on the like button. Helps me infinitely in this godforsaken algorithm. Thank you to all my patrons, keeping me alive and well. I know nobody gives a shit when a YouTuber is struggling financially, but I give a shit to everybody who supports me. So thank you all you guys. Thank you, of course, to the newest member of the GOAT tier, Nyanya Bar. Shout out to everyone else in the GOAT tier. We got Elm, Robert Matai, Peter Barr, the Fat Austrian, Valente Vasquez, Movadoc, and of course, the double GOAT, Sandra Jeremy. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to Alex and Lewis for helping me edit this video. If you guys want to employ either one of them, their socials will be in the description down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.